Siento algo especial dentro de mí. Sí, algo especial dentro de mí.
Yes, 2007 has been a phenomenal year for New Hope Children's Foundation. We have seen more growth during this past year than we ever thought was possible. Although it might sound very spiritual to say this all happened because of our faith, the truth is, it's because of God's mercy and grace in bringing into our lives those of you who have been supporting New Hope with your faithful prayers and finances during 2007. This DVD is just for you, from the thousands of kids in Nicaragua who would like to give you a hug and say thanks for making my life much better.
Siento algo especial al cantar. Sí, algo especial al cantar. Cuando elevo a Dios.
New Hope Children's Foundation understands that you can make a convert in the wink of an eye, but it takes years to make a disciple. This is why New Hope believes it is necessary to provide children in Nicaragua with both an academic education as well as spiritual instruction. Knowing that this too is New Hope's vision, in November of 2006, New Hope began a miracle expansion plan. We watched in gratitude as one by one, the Lord moved on the hearts of the property owners across the road from our facility to sell their lots to New Hope. This in itself was amazing, as some of these owners had no intention of selling. And then we cannot overlook the fact that God provided all the finances as they were needed to purchase each of these lots. Why was this expansion so desperately needed? Since 2006, in only 2 years, New Hope has gone from 90 students to over 500. New Hope was more than busting out at the seams. We were desperately in need of some kind of remedy. Our assembly hall seated only 350, but we had over 500 students. This made it impossible for us to ever have our students all together for an assembly. And whenever we had even a small function, we had to always remember there was no way we could ever have our students and their parents come at the same time. Besides that, we only had 8 classrooms. This meant in order to teach our students, we had to do it in 2 shifts and even eliminate some classes that were needed. We conducted classes in our elementary school from 7 a.m. until noon. Our junior high and high school started at 12:30 p.m. and continued until 5 p.m. And even with this arrangement, some of our classes were overflowing. We were in a very difficult situation for our students as well as our teachers. But because of God's provision, all of this began to change in November of 2006 when we broke ground for New Hope's new elementary school and 1,500-seat auditorium and gymnasium. Amazingly, it's all under one roof, but it's a long way from the drawing board to completion. What a project. What a plan. There are only 2 other facilities we know of here with this kind of construction, and one of these is the Managua Airport. Everything about the construction was unusual, from the foam walls that were securely stationed and then covered in cement until they became like concrete blocks, to the gigantic curved steel beams that had to support the roof. Everything had to be manufactured to exact specifications under very primitive conditions. Believe it or not, these steel beams were made to curve with only a come-along, a steel stake in the concrete, and a steel beam to hook the come-along to. There's no telling how many yards of concrete had to be mixed, almost all of it by hand. Although we didn't realize it when we began building, there were many bumps in the road ahead, as well as a lot of twists and turns. Even though we had no way of knowing what we were facing, God did. He knew it all ahead of time. The many building frustrations and sometimes the seemingly impossible roadblocks that were often threatening the very completion of the building over a challenging 8 months of construction. But with God's help, we persevered, and New Hope's Gross Nichols Center and More Than Conquers Elementary School finally became a wonderful reality. God has truly blessed the village children of El Crucero. It's hard to imagine a child living in a shack with a dirt floor, with no electricity or running water, and yet having the opportunity to attend a school like More Than Conquers absolutely free. This is unheard of in the few private schools that are here in Nicaragua. Several schools we know of charge anywhere from $150 to $300 a month per student. It would be impossible for many of the poor children who attend MTC to pay even $5 a month. A quality education is so vital to these children. The education they are receiving at MTC can mean the difference between their begging and stealing or doing something even worse all of their lives, or the opportunity of being able to provide for their families. One thing is for certain, unless children in Nicaragua receive an education, they will remain locked into their prison of poverty, finding themselves struggling day after day to try to find a job, something to eat, a place to stay, desperately trying to find a way to somehow survive. But even most importantly, unless they learn about a Savior who died for their sins and rose again, they can never look forward to experiencing an abundant life on this earth and spending an eternity with Him. Without God's help, they will live their lives spiritually destitute, completely unaware of Christ's love and the wonderful plan He has for their lives. A Christ-centered education that is value-based, that teaches children how they need to live their lives, and then gives them the fortitude to go out and do it in the real world, is what an education at More Than Conquers is all about. It's been amazing watching the teachers and students rise to the occasion as they catch the vision of excellence that New Hope is striving for in Nicaragua. That's why we train and work with our teachers, so they will be able to instill life-giving values into the children who attend MTC. This will make it possible for these same children to become tomorrow's leaders in Nicaragua. Soon, these children will be taking over the businesses, the schools, the churches, the government. Nicaragua's future is truly in their hands. Who knows? Perhaps a future president of Nicaragua may now be attending MTC. With God's help, they have the ability to change the very future and destiny of Nicaragua. Perhaps now you better understand why New Hope is committed to educating the children of Nicaragua. This year, we were so blessed to have our first graduation in New Hope's new building. We are often amazed at how these children step up to the challenge, especially at graduation time. Judging from the ceremony and their caps and gowns, no one would believe these young people live in a third world country. It's quite an accomplishment here in Nicaragua for a child to complete the 6th grade. So in the morning, we had our first graduation for 41 6th graders. This was a special blessing to us, as we have worked with some of these children for 3 years now. We know that they would not be in school today if it wasn't for the ministry of New Hope. We were also blessed this year to have Sister Iona, the co-founder of New Hope, to be our speaker at both graduations. We graduated 31 from high school this year. That's an amazing number. Very few schools in Nicaragua have such a large number of students who make it all the way through school. All of our students plan on going on to universities. One student this year wants to be a pharmacist and work in the ministry. Other students have other career goals. For those students who have strong Christian character, New Hope plans to take care of their cost to attend a university, including bus fare. This amounts to about $85 a month per student. Without New Hope's ongoing support, there is no way that most of these graduates will be able to further prepare themselves to make a difference in Nicaragua. It's amazing, isn't it? All the Lord can do in such a short time. Such a blessing to be here and see so many lives changing right before our eyes.